We have some breaking news in our world lead. We're following breaking news on the arrests of members of an al-Qaeda-linked militant cell. According to a report by Egyptian state media, that cell was plotting a possible attack on both the U.S. and French embassies in Egypt. CNN has not been able to independently confirm the reported targets. We do know that over the weekend, Egypt's interior minister announced the arrest of 3 militants who allegedly were plotting to attack a Western embassy and other targets. Both the U.S. Embassy and a spokesman for Egypt's Interior Ministry have refused to comment on specific targets. Let's get more now from CNN national security analyst Peter Bergen. Peter, thanks for joining us. If an al-Qaeda-linked militant was targeting a U.S. embassy in Egypt, how concerned should the State Department and Americans in general be about all U.S. embassies in the Middle East being targeted? Well, more so than normal.
Yeah, the State Department has issued a new advisory about travel to Egypt and mentioned that an American was stabbed outside the U.S. Embassy on May 9th in that advisory. So clearly the State Department's concerned. What I would say is a little bit interesting about this case, Jake, is that al-Qaeda and groups like it traditionally haven't really been operating in Cairo very much. We've seen a lot of activity in the Sinai and attacking tourist destinations, Sharm el-Sheikh, these kinds of places. There was an attack on a central market in Cairo in 2005, frequented by Western tourists. But in general, al-Qaeda and groups like it haven't been attacking in Cairo itself, in any kind of consistent way over the past decade. And there's some reasons for that.
Including Mubarak being fairly oppressive.
Well, and also, these groups really lost a lot of in the mid-90s, they conducted almost an insurgency against the Egyptian government. More than 1,000 people were killed. You may recall the Luxor massacre in 1997, sure, where 56 tourists were stabbed to death. That basically, any popular appeal these groups had basically disappeared. And these groups actually did a peace agreement with the Egyptian government, which was the Mubarak government. Many of those guys are in jail, or were in jail. So there's a kind of sound history for this not being very consistent in Cairo. That said, of course, al-Qaeda is led by an Egyptian. Many of the people who...
al-Zawahiri.
Yeah, many of the people who are its leaders are Egyptian.
What should we read into this attempted attack? Is it comforting to know that the Egyptians are on the case? Is al-Qaeda gaining strength in the region? What do you think?
Well, in all these countries that have experienced the Arab Spring, there's a lot of chaos. As you indicated, they were run by repressive governments that had a pretty good handle on these groups. Yeah, so I think it is comforting that this was, discovered in time. But I don't think it's going to be the last time that we see the U.S. Embassy targeted in a major, Arab capital like this.
All right, Peter Bergen, thank you so much.